Happy New Year. Hello, love. So happy to be back with you. And I just want to tell you, this is the third time I'm recording this. Ladies, one time I didn't like something the way that I said it, and I was like, oh, I want to reteach it. So I started it over, and then I forgot to record it. And so now this is the third time. I mean, third time is the charm, they say. It's all good. But this is what I say. I love it when, sometimes we fail, right? I mean, I fail every day. I do things, and I just like to think everything's for me. I think this is going to be the best time that I recorded it. So, yay. So, if you're like many folks, you have set some goals. This is the beginning of the year, and I love goals and I love setting them. And maybe you've even thought of it, like what you want to do, what you want to accomplish this year. So maybe you want to accomplish, you want to lose weight, or you want to get your finances in order, you want to have better relationships, whatever it is. I think the new year is just like a mile marker in your life. It's just the post, right? It's just the beginning of something, of this time. And I just want to say, because there's a lot of shame, like don't set resolutions, don't set goals, all this stuff. And we have a lot of fear, right? Because we have broken our commitments. We've been inconsistent. And so we can have little fear. And I just want to offer to you that I think thinking about your future and what you want to accomplish, I think it's amazing. I think it's a great thing. And what I'm going to teach you today is how to think about it a little different when it comes to consistency. And as you start to think about what you want to do this year and the goals that you want to set, whatever it is for you, starting to be consistent and how consistency shows up for you is important. When a lady signs up for my email list through many different ways, whether it's through a challenge or through our free course, whatever it is, I always send a welcome email. And in that email, I always ask, what's your biggest struggle? Because I'm always learning. I always want to make this simpler, easier. I want to help women get off the diet roller coaster for good. And so one of the biggest, maybe the top reason that I see the most often is consistency. And it's always kind of put in, I would say, mostly with motivation, lack of motivation. And I want to talk about consistency and why inconsistency can show up and what is consistency. And we're going to talk about weight loss because that's what we do here. What consistency and weight loss means. So inconsistency and how I think when ladies respond and my own struggles and inconsistency comes from this starting and stopping. This, I'm going to do everything, I'm going to be perfect. And then what happens is time moves on and I start kind of quote unquote slipping, right? I start telling myself I'm not doing it enough. It's not coming off fast enough. I'm not losing it fast enough. I can't do this. I'll do this later. I'll start on Monday, whatever it is. And so it's this off, on, back, forth, moving forward, slipping, going backwards, but it's all our thinking around it. And we start to develop this belief that we're inconsistent, that our reason that we can't lose weight is because we can't be consistent. We throw in motivation too. I'm just not motivated. And I don't believe you need motivation at all to lose weight. I think that's actually a limiting belief when you think you have to be motivated. I'm mostly never motivated. I really, truly, I just have this process that I'm going to talk about that helps me and, all the tools that I have and the guardrails that I have, because mostly I will tell myself I don't want to do it. Yeah. I just have learned how to overcome my thinking by talking to myself more than I listen. If you've been on the diet roller coaster, this kind of stop, start, begin, being all in, being off, all the things. And somewhere probably in your quote unquote diet history, you've had some success, right? You've had like this place where you had some momentum and you felt really good and maybe you lost weight. And so you're always trying to get back there. And so now you just tell yourself, well, I'm being inconsistent. And so why does it show up? How does it show up? One of the first things that I think one of the reasons is this overcommitment. And so overcommitment is telling yourself, having thoughts about, I need to do all the things. So if you think about weight loss, right, you say to yourself, I'm going to lose X amount of weight. And then you say, okay, so I've got to start meal prepping. I've got to go to the grocery store and buy healthy food. I've got to clear my pantry. I've got to move my body. I've got to cut out all the sugar and the carbs. I've got to drink more water. I need to start really reading those books. Look at the book clubs everyone's in. I need to start doing this. I need to start doing that. And so you start overcommitting. You go, gangbusters, and you're like, I'm going to do all the things. And then what happens is it becomes a space where maybe you, one, are overcommitted, you're doing too many things. But then two, you're trying to change too many things at once. And so then your brain is like, danger, danger. Let's shut all this down. This is too much. And then you start to feel overwhelmed. And then you slowly start slipping. All right. You start like quitting on yourself. And it happens for many of you. Some of you, it's just like, I quit. I don't want to do this. I'll think about it later. And then you start to numb out. But some of you, it's this real quiet, slow kind of thing that you're not even really conscious of. It's all happening in your subconscious that's driving like a little extra eat here, a little this, a little, all the things. And so overcommitting is just trying to do all the things. It comes from the second reason why I think inconsistency can show up is perfectionism. And so perfectionism is this, I want to do it perfectly. This comes to these extremes that we have. So if I need to lose weight, I need to cut out all sugar. If I need to lose weight, I need to exercise 5 days a week, an hour. Not only do I need to do cardio, I also need to do weights. Well, I better do stretching too. I know. So it's like perfectionism that I've got to do that. And I need to do it in this kind of extreme, perfect way. So I'm going to overcommit, tell myself I need to do all this stuff, and then I have to do it perfectly. And if I don't do it perfectly, so if I only go to the gym twice this week, or I only eat on plan 2 times this week or 3 times this week, then I'm failing. And when I'm failing, then I want to start to quit because then I tell myself it's not working. This is important because just understanding how inconsistency is showing up for you. So again, this overcommitting is the first piece of it, right? Trying to do 20 things, 5 things, 10 things. And then this perfectionism, I need to do it perfectly. I need to do it 100% all the time, all the way. And when I have a challenge and when I have a failure, it means it's not working and I need to quit. And so the third thing I want to offer you is just the words and the language that we use around creating these overcommitted goals or these perfectionism thoughts is the language and the words that we use. And our language and the way that we speak to ourselves and the thoughts that we have are really important. It matters because our thoughts produce our feelings. And so when you think, a lot of times it's like, I need to lose 100 pounds, right? You look in the mirror like, oh, I need to lose 100 pounds or 50 pounds or whatever it is for you. And then that language, right, of those words make you feel a certain way. It can make you feel overwhelmed. It can also just sometimes you can start to feel frustrated with yourself, right? It also can just feel like too much, right? You can just start to have feelings of overwhelm, but really a lesser feeling of just like neutrality, where you just are like indifferent to it. And so I think about this too in any area, right? Not just weight loss, but maybe you're like, oh, I'm going to organize my house. My house is a lot. My house is overcommitting. But if I say something, if I use the language of, oh, you know what? I'm going to reorganize this drawer. That language, that thought, that sentence sounds different and it feels different in your body. And so the language and the words that we use are really important. So the secrets to consistency in weight loss. Number 1 is 1 step at a time. I know that we've been told that we can multitask, which they've proven over and over again. That's a lie. You can't. Your brain can only focus on one thing at a time. And so it might be going back and forth, but it can only do one thing at a time. And so 1 step at a time is focusing on the step in front of you, focusing on the process, right? Focusing on the next thing not the next 100 things. It's focusing on the next step. I think about this. I'm not going to go into the full story, but my personal coach tells this story and I love it. It's about climbing a mountain. And what I like about this story is this thought of when we look at our journey ahead of us, and let's say we want to climb a mountain. And we're at the bottom of the mountain and it looks just so much. It can feel overwhelming, which then makes the journey harder rather than just focusing on the one step in front. One step in front. I've listened to lots of ultra runners and people who do what I think is just very difficult things. And they always say that they constantly are just bringing their brain back, not to the 100 miles they're running. They bring their brain back to this one step in front of them. And that actually helps them go further. If they think about how long the journey is, or how many hours they're in, or how many hours they have left, a lot of times they lose or they can't finish, versus when they focus on one step at a time. And so, one of the secrets to staying consistent is just focusing on the one step, not the 10 things, the one step. Just the one next best action, the one thing in front of me. That is number one. Number two is focusing on how you feel in the process versus the data. So I say this because understanding how you want to feel will help you. You'll have to produce thoughts to produce that feeling. So let me give you an example. So I want to feel committed means I have to think thoughts that will make me feel committed. So I am going to do this one thing today, right? And then when I do the one thing, I feel committed. And so focusing on how you want to feel, I want to feel strong. I want to feel committed. I want to feel freedom. I want to feel love for myself. I want to feel light. I want to feel, resilient. When you focus on how you want to feel versus this is the opposite of it. So let's just say you're like, okay, Shannon, I'm listening to you and my goal is going to be 5 pounds this month. And then you are just zeroed in on that 5 pounds. You're not focused on how you're feeling. You're not focused on the process. You're just focused in on that. So every day you get on the scale, the scale fluctuates for many different reasons. Many, many, many reasons. And so you're just zeroed in on that. You focus on this data point, like weight and the scale and the number, and then there are fluctuations. And so then you start to feel like your perceived effort, so the effort that you've given, so you start telling yourself, oh, I've done such a good job. I've been so good. This is the thoughts you have. And then you get on the scale and you've gained a pound. And then you feel devastated, you feel frustrated, you feel angry, whatever it is. And then you want to give up. Then you're like, okay, I might as well eat the thing because this isn't working. Because that data can change, how I look at the scale, and I'll say this briefly, is I always look at if you're going to weigh daily or weekly, it's so that you can manage your mind around it. So you can see what comes up when you get on the scale. Okay, that's that. But if you really want to see progress in weight, I always recommend a monthly or a quarterly weigh-in because you'll have less fluctuations. And if you try to do it where it's just every day, you're going to feel a lot of frustration. And especially if you're newer to this work of the mental weight, the scale can be just really difficult to overcome. And it can, again, produce thoughts. I'm not doing enough. I need to do more. And then you start changing everything you're doing, even though the result was right around the corner. But because you start changing things and you start freaking out because you're focused on the data versus the process and the feelings, you start changing, you start becoming inconsistent, you start thinking, you're failing. And so focusing on the process and how you're feeling instead of the data is another secret to being more consistent. The third one, I know, I'm not going to tell you. What? I know, because I want you to come join me in my class. You're like, Shannon, I know, but come join me in my class. I'm going to give you the 3 secrets. I'm going to really dive in deep on these. Why it's shown up. And then what to do. I'm going to give you three secrets to consistency for weight loss is the name of the class. I'm doing it 3 times in January. So you can sign up at beeflycoaching.com/three secrets. I'm doing three of the same class. So you only need to pick one, come to one, come spend an hour with me. It's going to be an hour long. And I'm going to teach you the third secret, but I'm also going to, again, just dive a little deeper into each one of these secrets and what to do and how to implement them in your own weight loss journey. Again, if you want to lose weight for the last time, get off the diet roller coaster, ultimately just make it easier on yourself, then one, follow this podcast. Click the plus sign. If you're on Apple, anywhere else, click follow, subscribe. So I'm in your inbox every Wednesday. And then two, get on my email list. Go to beeflycoaching.com/welcome. And then, of course, come and join us in Transform Boss Weight Loss, because this is really where we do the deep work. And every year, Transform Boss gets better because of my own learning, my coaches' learnings, my clients' learnings, and we're just consistently up leveling what we offer, what we do. And this year will be no different. 2024 is going to be amazing. Come spend the year with me. You can go to jointransformboss.com to learn more about it. Yes. All right, my love. I'll see you in the class. Again, you can go to beeflycoaching.com/three secrets and S at the end, or just beeflycoaching.com. You'll see the banner and you'll be able to sign up from there. Pick one of the classes and come join me for an hour. Yes. All right, my love. Let's go. Bye for now.